Say Anything movie review. So a couple videos back, I was talking about John Cusack and how I had been a big fan of his ever since High Fidelity. Somebody from Generation X sent me a comment saying that Say Anything was kind of the classic John Cusack movie that put him on the map for Generation Xers. I think it's a little bit... It varies depending on who you read where the cutoff is, but I think I just missed Generation X. I was born in 1978, so I think I'm Generation Y, or maybe on the tail end of Generation X, depending on who's doing the cutoff dates. Anyways, I never saw Say Anything during the 80s. So just getting around to it now. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what to make of this movie. Judged as a whole, I would say I didn't really like it. But if you take some of the individual scenes or moments from this movie, then there is a lot to like. So I'll start with the negatives first, why I didn't really like this movie as a whole. The big reason I didn't like this movie is it's just a typical teenage romance. And it follows a typical pattern, which is boy gets girl, boy loses girl, boy gets girl again format. I hate that formula. I'm not a big romance fan in general, but I can deal with the hero overcomes huge obstacles and then gets girl at the end type story. Because, you know, it's kind of a more linear storyline. I don't like the movies where the boy gets the girl and then he loses her and he gets her again, even though this is a very popular movie trope, so there must be some reason they keep doing it, i.e. There must be certain people who like it, or it must kind of meet some sort of storytelling formula or meet some sort of, you know, human need or something like that. But to me it just seems repetitive. Whenever the boy gets the girl in the first half of the movie, I'm always like, oh no. Because then you know you're in trouble. You know there's going to be some sort of manufactured crisis that doesn't really make sense, that will cause them to split up. And then there'll be all these sappy emotions and kind of manufactured crying or people pretending to cry. And then there'll be another manufactured crisis at the end that will get them back together. That being said, there are a lot of movies that are much worse. The worst example I've ever seen was 10 Things I Hate About You, where I think the boy gets the girl and then loses the girl and then gets the girl and then loses the girl and then gets the girl and then loses the girl. It just goes back and forth and back and forth. At least for this movie, it's just kind of one times. Well, two times. So he gets the girl, loses the girl, gets the girl again. Also, I didn't really like the actress who played the heroine of the movie. Sorry. And I could have done with all those sappy father-daughter moments, which I thought were just a little bit cheesy. All that being said, John Cusack is great in this movie. He does a really good job of playing up the friendly guy, who's really friendly, but he's just a nervous talker, and he doesn't know when to shut up. He actually reminded me of a couple people I knew, or I thought he reminded me of a couple people I knew. And I know this is of interest to no one else but me, that he, you know, reminded me of my old roommate. But then again, I think this is kind of the appeal of John Cusack, is he does kind of play the everyman character. So he does kind of generally remind you of people you knew. Probably everybody watching John Cusack thinks, he reminds me of somebody I used to know. And when you think about it, this quality is maybe surprisingly rare in Hollywood actors, or at least in Hollywood leading men. I mean, when was the last time Tom Cruise or Brad Pitt reminded you of somebody you knew, huh? Also, the quirky humor in this movie is great. I didn't like it as a whole, but there were particular scenes that just worked really well. Like the conversations about old people and the way their mouths move. Or the scenes with those guys out in front of the drugstore on a Saturday night. Or John Cusack as the awkward dinner guest. All of these scenes were enough to redeem the movie into the category of watchable, or possibly even rewatchable.